This is Aestrodon, and this is my first ever YouTube video. And I'm going to get started with feminism. And let's start with Laci Green's 50 reasons why she's a feminist.
I'm a feminist because girls are taught in public school that once she has sex, she'll lose a part of herself.
Number one, yeah, you lose your virginity. Derp!
Because women who have a lot of sex are sluts while guys are studs.
Women are called sluts and men are called studs because throughout history, men have had to work and prove they're better than other men to get laid. Be it through strength, status, looks, or all three, women have always had the ability to make the final decision in sex. And a woman of whom is easy to have sex with doesn't make the same decisions a woman who chooses her men by status does. When you do something that is hard to do, like getting in a woman's pants, you're congratulated. But when doing something extremely easy, like a woman who just gives herself up, that's not going to give you bragging rights. Remember, women have always had the final decision, and men have always had to dance like monkeys to get sex. It is harder for men to get laid than women, normally. Hence this valid double standard.
I'm a feminist because I was told the first time I had sex would be painful and bloody. I was terrified.
First time you have sex, for women, typically it is painful. This is what I know from having sex with 2 virgins in my lifetime, which isn't that much, of course, and the stories I hear from 2 or 3 female friends. Your first time is typically painful and over very quickly. I can vouch for that.
Because 1 in 4 young women is assaulted and society still asks, what was she wearing?
1 in 4? This statistic has been disproven so many times the world over, I'm tired of these malignant battle cries being screeched by modern liberal, vegan, feminist harpies.
Because of catcalling and street harassment, because no, it is not a f***ing compliment.
Catcalling and street harassment? You mean bullying, right? Things like this happen to nearly everyone at some point in their lives. But this is basically how these people work. Asteroid hits Earth and obliterates planet. Women suffer most due to patriarchal asteroid. Yeah.
I'm a feminist because my first boyfriend sexually assaulted me, and when I went to my friends for help, they called me a slut.
Your first boyfriend sexually assaulted you? Huh. I noticed this is pandemic among feminists. Being assaulted. Seems like those who try to play the victim card more than normal run into victimizing situations more than normal. Is that a coinky-dink or what?
Because when I speak at universities about the absolute necessity of consent, there are people in the audience who laugh.
When you speak at universities about consent, you're typically listened to by my PC butthurt liberal generation. Don't sit here and give me this shit about how no one thinks consent is important. Sit down, madam.
Because boobs are used to sell everything from burgers to soap, but don't you dare breastfeed out in the open.
Boobs are used to sell things, yes. And so are men's six-packs. Ever seen the Old Spice guy? This is pretty normal. Nothing wrong with it. And sexualizing people for profit has been going on for some time. Being sexualized or being a lack thereof does not empower or weaken a person. Only their own decisions will. There you go again, blaming normal human behavior on the patriarchy.
It's because this shocks and terrifies people.
Oh look, armpit hair. Huh. The stuff that you only said was a stereotype. Stereotype confirmed!
I'm a feminist because of how much pressure we put on girls to value their appearance above everything else.
We put a lot of pressure on everyone about their appearance, not just girls. Ever seen G.I. Joe or He-Man? They demanded to change the Barbie dolls, but men better man up, as always.
Because our culture considers it normal to cut off part of an infant's penis.
Circumcising men normally is for medical defense of the penis. The foreskins are known for getting infected, but this decision should be left to the family. Parents, more or less.
I'm a feminist because male orgasm in the movies is rated PG-13, while female orgasm is rated R.
There you go, taking a movie rating as a victimizing, life-affecting problem. Liberal feminist PC SJW's at it again!
I'm a feminist because in 2013 there were over 700 bills proposed to regulate a woman's body. And for men, the rightful number, 0.
Maybe there were so many bills regulating a woman's body because women are the ones bearing human lives. And this requires delicacy and care. Not so much for men, seeing as how they do not carry children.
I'm a feminist because the political body making decisions about my body is over 80% male.
The reason more men are in high political positions is because more men decide to take high-level political jobs. Women had their choices and chose otherwise, or were voted out.
Wow. Because men occupy the top rungs of not just politics, but every industry in the world.
Men are occupying the top rungs of every industry in the world. Huh. Let's start with the bell curve of the male IQ. Look this up before calling me a sexist. More men are geniuses than women, and this is a fact. And more men are morons than women, and this is a fact. Because men have IQs with high levels of discrepancies and differences, and women have a rather flatlining IQ that stays on an average level, meaning less female idiots and less female geniuses. In this, no matter how many women graduate universities, more than men, you will still get more male engineers and physicists because of the discrepancies in IQ.
Yeah. Because when I was younger and I took on a leadership role, all the adults in my life said, "You're being bossy."
Are you sure all the men in your life called you bossy as you were growing up? I don't recall anyone bringing this up until recently. And how would the word bossy ever turn someone from a life of leadership? If anything, if a person is affected by the word, he or she was never truly meant to be a leader anyway.
And let's not forget that sneaky little pay gap.
Pay gap. Pay gap. Pay gap! Fuck you. I'm tired of disproving your shit. Next.
By the time the average woman reaches 60 years old, she will have made $450,000 less than a man in the same exact position.
A woman would have made $450,000 less than a man because women A, retire sooner, B, work less hours, and C, occupy less high-paying jobs because of IQ discrepancies. Yet again.
And hell, I'm not even surprised by it. At my first job, I learned that my less qualified male coworker was making almost twice as much as me.
Of course, you being a feminist, noticed your male coworkers making more than you. I wonder if they worked more or less hours, took less or more time off, and had any problems with emotion or their attitude.
I'm a feminist because the media told me that women are my competition.
Women are your competition. Look at our evolutional history. And look at nature. Survival of the most attractive and strongest. Men who look better get laid more. It's about wanting good genes for the women. And women who look better get laid more as well. And all the time you are competing with them. This is how nature works.
Because gender roles!
I'm going to say one thing on this. Then move the fuck on because you're screaming another disproven feminist battle cry. From infanthood, boys look at robots, and little girls look at dolls. These quote-unquote roles seem to be genetic. Nice try.
Because that one-size-fits-all binary that shoves us into boxes and erases who we are. I'm a feminist because in 10th grade someone called my best friend a pussy and it tore him up for weeks. And I realized the worst insult was to be compared to a woman. Because boys are shamed for being emotionally open, because that's a girl thing.
Someone called your best friend a pussy and it tore him up? He sounds like a pussy, a wimp, a thin-skinned chump. Ever heard of the insult dick? No, because you're a feminist. No, you haven't.
And womanhood is weak. Never mind the fact that it was most likely a woman who pushed your body out of her vagina.
Women are strong, cause pain of birth. Yeah, we men get it. By the way, ever heard of kidney stones? Turns out many women equate them to the pain of birth. Oh, you lose!
I'm a feminist because my father never once did the laundry, made dinner, or cleaned the house.
My dad was too lazy after working all day to do chores, and that makes him sexist, so I'm a feminist as a result. Okay, this is stupid. First world problems. Imagine she's yelling at the top of her lungs with war paint on, using a megaphone. Someone asked her why she fights. Because my dad didn't do the dishes. That sounds like her right about there, doesn't it? Because my dad didn't do the dishes.
Because half the girls in Yemen will become child brides.
Because half the girls in Yemen will be child brides. Wow. Yeah, but I don't see you doing anything more than whining about your male family members not doing their chores.
Because in Saudi Arabia, women still can't vote or drive.
Women can't vote or drive there because of religious reasons. And I'm damn sure you are too busy worrying about manspreading and Gamergate to actually undergo any sort of real-world applications to help these people.
I'm a feminist because in every corner of the world, every day, women's bodies are used as a battleground in wars started by men.
Did you know that the biggest victims of war are actually men? And I mean the men who have nothing to do with it at first. Men who didn't start it. Men who were sent to fight. Men who were sent to fight and die in the field. Those are the people of whom are the victims of war.
It's because when I dare to get pissed off at injustice, I'm just another angry feminist who's on her period.
That right there, you just tried to make it look like anyone disagreeing with you was sexist. You're a fool, and obviously only worried about first world problems. As we already have confirmed, of course.
I'm a feminist because of the reality that there are people who would take these words more seriously
if they were coming out of my mouth.
Some people actually take the words more seriously if spoken by men. Sexism is real. It exists. But goddamn you, why do you not see that here in America, sexism is nowhere near as prevalent as you think it is? I'll list some of my personal experiences with feminism before I go. They always harp and moan about women's issues, typically anything from not getting free birth control to manspreading their legs a little too much in the subways. Then, when someone confronts them about this little issue, they say, "Shut up, misogynist, because we're actually here for men too." But they don't back that shit up. 90% of the time, it's just female supremacy. Another thing is that they want to be victims. They want it so much. I'm tired of seeing this. All it takes is for a man to say, "Hey, do you want to go up to my room for a cup of coffee?" Yeah, now that's basically sexual assault in their book. You should be spending the rest of your life in prison because you just asked someone if they wanted coffee. It is time for more of my kind, more of my age group and generation, to stand up to this. No matter what you say or how much I hate what you say, I would defend to the death your right to say it. I am not so sure feminists and most liberals would say that for you. This is Aestrodon, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching my video. Goodbye.